Here we are again. How's it going? On what day is it today? Monday. On Saturday, I had a property trader acquaintance from the South Island came up and had dinner, and it was quite interesting. She had attended my trading workshop and had done a really good deal the next week, which was cool. But it was just interesting in talking to her that I was asking her some questions, and I'd never met her before, only communicated briefly via email, and it was interesting. It was like listening to myself, and almost uncannily so. It was like, wow. And what that made me realise or understand was that the basic principles of success in property investing are not rocket science, and they do not change, and people who continue to do it until they succeed always end up with the same or similar core things. Obviously the variety of strategies that we might utilise will vary greatly, and people take a shine to different forms of investing, but as this lady spoke, she talked primarily about knowing an area well, having, in her case, I think she had 3 agents that she worked with regularly, and ploughing her profits into a buy and hold portfolio. So it's just interesting that all of us who end up in this place of relative success through investing in property, and particularly if you're trading, the rules just don't change. And so it was kind of encouraging for me, I guess, because this is what I do, but it's also exactly what I teach. And so she was just yet another example of do the basics well, and the rest of our investing will pretty much take care of itself. So I've shared that with you really just to encourage you who may be finding it hard or it's taking longer than you like. I had lunch with a student of mine today who is had a one do-up trade, didn't go well, just one of those things, but he's managed to get his head in a good place, and so we'll just have to keep going until the results are there. So for those of you who keep looking for the silver bullet or the fairy dust, as I've said before, it doesn't exist, and it's just continuing to do the basics well that will put you in a place where you will succeed. It's a bit like if it was a sport, if you want to play golf or tennis or whatever, you have to practice, and there are certain things that you must do. If you do not do them, you cannot succeed. And so that is equally true of investing. So there you go, thought for the day. The other thing that's just interesting at the moment in the market is that even with interest rates being high, there's still good deals are just being jumped on reasonably quickly, and the top end of the market doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. And so don't quite know what the government's going to do long term, but it's just interesting to see that I don't think they'll come up with something that will really take the heat out of the housing market, because we have the fundamentals are there of a shortage of housing. One thing that is happening though, and once you see this blog, please go to my website and subscribe to my newsletter if you don't get it. Or if you don't want to subscribe, at least click on Investors Library, go through to the newsletter archives and read my latest newsletter, which will be going out tonight. There's a very important information in there about the proposed changes to the associated persons rules with Inland Revenue Department. If we as investors allow that to go through, it will be a disaster in the short term, especially for people going forward and in certain industries. Won't bother trying to explain it all to you here, except to say that what this piece of legislation is intending to do is to say that anybody who's involved in the business of property, and that would include a builder just building, like a school teacher, he's a builder, but including them, and obviously all people like me, traders, developers, will effectively be tainted for tax purposes without any way of breaking tainting, so that any property that somebody who falls into this category ever buys and sells, they will have to pay tax on the gain, including their own personal family home. It's a ridiculous piece of legislation, which New Zealand is famous for ridiculous pieces of legislation, and so please print out or have a read of my newsletter. In there is where you can address submissions to. We were going to send everybody out a standard form that they could fill in and send off, but we've been advised that if we do that, they'll all just be any that look the same. They'll just call it one submission, so 10,000 submissions could look like one. So you just need to write something that basically says we want to lodge our objection to this legislation, and just put that in your own words and submit it by the due date, which is in the month of May. So I really can't stress enough how serious that is, that as an industry we need to do this. And so if you get my newsletter, please forward it to every man and his dog that you know, and let's get enough public. Garth Melville's going to the media with it, as am I and a few others, to try and get some good public coverage of it. But we need to stop this. It's an unfair attack on the property investment industry, and we want to make sure that it doesn't happen. So there you go. I'll be back tomorrow with, we'll get the whiteboard out again, and I'm going to start doing a bit more kind of teaching focused stuff for a while, for those of you who are interested. Other thing not to forget, please, when you visit my website, go and click on property events. I'm running an advanced trading event in Wellington and in Christchurch. I ran it in Auckland earlier in the year. It was just going to be a one-off. I was never going to run it again. All of the proceeds from it, or the profits from it, were for rebuilding a community centre and church in Fiji. The response has been so overwhelming from people wanting it to be run again, and as I didn't have the video rights, we decided we wouldn't run it in Auckland again. It wouldn't be fair, but we are going to put it on in Wellington and Christchurch. This will be the last time the event is ever run. Those of you who may not have got the email but might have seen this, we have arranged a special package for you to re-attend. If you can't find that through the website, please just email me, Dean, D-E-A-N, @massiveaction.co.nz, and we'll show you where the link is to be able to book. But otherwise, just have a look at it. If you haven't been before, please consider coming. Very, very high value event. Got some very good other people speaking. Basically, I'll teach you everything that I know about trading. I'll also be addressing some of the specific issues that have happened even since my last workshop. We'll go through the 8th edition of the Sale and Purchase Agreement. There's some significant changes in there that you need to understand as a trader. Also be catching up with the current legislation, and also some of the finance. There's some changes in the finance market since my Auckland workshop. There's new products around that weren't around before, so I believe you'll find it very, very good value. There's nothing else like it in the country, and hope that you can come. Till then, see you tomorrow. God bless.